Hi everyone, this is Pierrick from P2design. No tutorial this time. I just want to send you a short message as I just came back from the Blender conference and wanted to give you some feedback while it's still hot. Please stick till the end of this video as I have a very important message for you. And I also would like to share something very personal with you. If you have the chance to be able to attend any Blender conference, do not hesitate. It's a time when you can meet most of the people that you are watching tutorials from, artists you're enjoying, developers that created the tools you're using every day, and on top of that, people from all over the world that are driven by the same passion as you are. For me, it was fantastic to cheers with people I often discuss online with, like Zach, Masha, and Martin from CG Booth, Curtis Holt, Derek Elliott, but also meeting Erin Dale, Adi Burrows, and so many other people. I also get to better know Ryan, Fred, and Leo from Purple Puppets. And on top of that, I met so many artists and devs I'm really looking up to, like Manu Havunen, Brad Clark, Sibren Studville, Dylan Gu, and Chris, late as usual, Klein, Daniel Bistet, Jeremy Bott, even received super supportive words from Daniel Martin Lara. I also met Nathan Vegdal, the guy behind the human rigging course from which I've learned most of my rigging knowledge. And I was like, oh man, I learned so much from you and now I'm selling rigging courses. And he was like, do you want a hug? And I was like, yeah, for sure. And later on, I came across Demeter Tzedek and we have a selfie all together. That was just awesome. So basically you're there enjoying super inspiring talks with free foods and free beers, and you talk to all these people. Sometimes it's super casual, sometimes it's super technical, and then you may hang out with them, having even more food and more beers, and eventually talk even more. This during 3 days. This is the best time of life every time you go to the Blender conference. Beware that you may meet a lot of Italian people you may get drunk with. This conference was also very special to me because almost the whole CG Cookie crew was there. And long story short, I started learning Blender with them and started creating tutorials because of them. And here I am 10 years later. It was a blast to meet Wes Burke in person, Jonathan Williamson, Jonathan Lempel. I had a long talk with Matthew Mulden and Amber Kelly. They were super kind. Talked with John Denning and Polka Jeji about so many things. I wish Ken Trammell and Wayne Dixon were there, but unfortunately they couldn't make it to the Blender conference, but I'm sure I will see them next year. I don't give them the choice. I also met a color scientist from ILM that worked on the lighting dome for the Mandalorian during a casual talk with Andrew Pricey and Dylan Gu. I don't know for you, but this is not the kind of event that happens in my everyday life, but it happens at the Blender conference. It was also a very special event for me because I was giving my first official talk at the Blender conference, a summary of 5 years of intense work with my team at Atypic Studio on the game Noara: The Conspiracy. By the way, you will be able to play the game in a couple of weeks. I generally don't share personal stories online. I'm really picky with the quotes, "You're not your job," or "opinions are my own and don't reflect the one or those of my employers." I thought it might be the time to share with you this little story, and yesterday my girlfriend convinced me to do so, so here I am. I cried a couple of times during the conference. Hopefully I was sneaky enough. First in front of a good friend that was encouraging me just before my talk, and then a little later on when I was relaxing and the pressure was going down. I was there because at some point in my life, my parent and especially my mother gave me the chance to choose whatever I wanted to do in my life. And when my mother pushed me to choose her art path, it totally transformed me. From being a lazy, casual teenager to become a workaholic machine. And I was always super excited and proud to tell her what I was doing, the people I was talking to, talk about all the amazing artists I had the chance to chat with, all the little success I would have along my path, but also all the rigging and art struggle I was having. And even though she wasn't understanding half of all the nerdy stuff I was sharing with her, she was very happy for me and it felt so good to make her proud. Early 2020, she passed away after fighting cancer like no one would, but I wasn't expecting less from her. And I wasn't expecting how hard it would be and still is to overcome this loss. And during the whole conference, I wanted to have a call with her. Just to tell her that I discussed with all the people I was looking up to how accessible they were, and also how much supportive they were. And on top of that, how many of you guys came to me just to thank me because at some point my tutorials helped. You can't imagine how good it feels, how heartwarming and rewarding it is when someone you don't know or you may know comes to you and just thanks you because at some point you helped them with your courses or tutorials and now they are in front of you because of that. So I want to thank all the people that took this step toward me during the conference. And I do want to thank all of you guys that just leave nice and supportive comments or that tries to be supportive by any means. You really don't know the power you have whenever you're kind to the others like that. So it was so overwhelming to receive so much support, kind words from the Blender Foundation teams and all those amazing artists and developers there. Now I want to share with you a very important lesson I learned from Brad, Sebrin, Jason, Jeremy and Nate during the conference. Everyone counts to make Blender better. Don't be afraid, as I was, to talk to seasoned developers, for example, if you're an artist, and vice versa. Because most of the time developers don't use that much the tool they are creating. And they do need artists to test them, to give them feedback and maybe give them new ideas to improve those tools. And often enough, artists don't really know everything about the tools they are using and how powerful they can be. So by any means, through the Blender chat, Blender modules, reporting bugs, or during those live events, just talk to as many Blender users as you can. It will sure be so inspiring for you, and you might be inspiring for them too. A lot of great ideas just pop out of casual conversation about everyday uses of the tool. And this is true whatever your skill level or your level of interest into those tools or into Blender. And this is what makes the Blender community so special and what makes Blender development so awesome. So don't be afraid to talk to the others. This is the end of this video. Thanks for listening to me, and I'll see you later on for a new tutorial. See you!